Prisoner number 1024926, released early on compassionate grounds due to terminal stomach cancer. I'm an Omega. I went to prison for an Alpha, took the blame for his crime, and even gave birth to his child. But don't get me wrong, I'm not some love-addled fool. I held my daughter's hand as we stood outside the prison gates. She's 10 now, and this was her first time seeing the world beyond the prison walls. She was born in there. I tried to end that pregnancy 3 times. Didn't work. In the Galactic Federation, prisoners aren't considered human beings, so I didn't even have the right to an abortion. All I could do was grit my teeth and give birth to her in that cold, damp cell. She's beautiful. Shame she's growing up to look less and less like me. She always asks, "Dad, who's my alpha dad? When will he come take us home?" I shot her a cold look. "Grace, stop dreaming. You only have one dad, and he's not coming for you." Grace asked again, "Then what does he look like?" I muttered lazily, "Take your face, subtract mine, that's him." Grace blinked, half understanding. She always says I don't love her. She heard people whisper that I'd tried to get rid of her when I was pregnant. They were right. I did, just didn't succeed. Her eyes went wide and wet, her little voice trembling. "Dad, is that true?" "Yeah." I didn't sugarcoat it. She was barely 5 then, and burst into tears, loud and broken. I didn't comfort her. She cried, peeked up at me, cried softer, peeked again. Finally, she ran over, wrapped her tiny arms around my leg. "Dad, why don't you love me? I'll be good, I promise." After a day of hard labor for prison credits, my back was killing me. I shook her off. "Damn it, why do you need a reason for everything? I don't love you, end of story. Stop asking." I tossed a carton of milk at her. Ever since she was born, every credit I earned went into her nutrition packs. Me? I could barely afford food, let alone cigarettes. But I didn't tell her that. Didn't want her thinking I cared. Grace lit up at the sight of the milk like it was gold. She sipped it in tiny gulps, afraid to finish too fast. Then she said, "If you don't love me, I'll go find my alpha dad." I let out a dry laugh. "She's never even seen his picture." "Go ahead," I said. So, the day Grace and I walked out of prison, I saw the Federation-wide news. Landon was getting engaged. There was even a photo of the happy couple. I froze for a second, and when I came back to my senses, Grace was gone, too. I was sure of one thing, I didn't love Grace. But the moment I realized she was missing, the world went silent. I forced myself to stay upright, scanning every face that passed. My body trembled, my stomach twisted in pain. I bit down hard on my lip just to keep from collapsing. "Grace! Grace!" I stumbled through the crowds, gasping, my chest burning. The lack of air made lights flash before my eyes. "Damn it, Grace! Damn it, Landon! I hated you both." How could she run so fast on those tiny legs? She was born in a prison, where could she even go? "Your father only put me in jail, Landon. But your daughter? She's killing me." I searched for 2 days straight, no sleep, no food, no rest. I kept going on sheer willpower left over from my soldier days 10 years ago. And before I knew it, I had stumbled right into Landon's engagement party. The place was packed and noisy. I wasn't planning to get any closer, until I heard a familiar little voice shout, "Daddy!" 3. It was Grace. I'd know that voice anywhere. I pushed through the crowd, and there she was, clinging to Landon's leg, yelling with absolute certainty, "Daddy!" Landon frowned down at her. "I'm not your father. You've got the wrong person. What's your name? I'll have someone take you home." "Grace," she said proudly. "You are my daddy." My dad said my face minus his face equals my daddy's face. Damn, kid actually guessed right. I shoved through the people and grabbed her arm. "What did I tell you about calling random people your dad?" Grace just held tighter onto Landon's pants. "But you don't love me." And she started crying again, tears pouring down like a waterfall. My head throbbed. My stomach burned. Then she wiped her face on Landon's pant leg. In one swipe, the dirt on her cheeks came off. Landon froze, stared at her again, and again. She looked, just like him, too much like him. While he stood there stunned, I finally managed to yank Grace into my arms, turned around, ready to leave, when suddenly, Landon's hand clamped down on my shoulder. "Who are you?" 4. I didn't turn around. I gave a bitter laugh and said, "I'm just a nobody, don't have a name, just an ID." Landon's hand stayed firm on my shoulder. He was still every bit the commanding officer, voice steady with authority. "Turn around." My heart skipped. 10 years had passed. Would he recognize me? Who was I kidding? It's not like he ever really knew me. If he hadn't lost control during his heat back then, I wouldn't have gotten dragged into this mess. And even if he did remember me, so what? In his eyes, I was nothing but a scheming, low-born Omega, someone who dared to crawl into his bed. I turned, lifting my chin to meet his eyes. Omegas were never tall enough to make it easy. Landon's thin lips parted. Your ID, 102496, sir. Can I go now? His expression didn't change, only his pupils flickered for a split second. Then everything went back to that calm, unreadable mask. He looked straight at me and said flatly, "Come with me to the hospital. We're doing a DNA test." Honestly, I should have smacked Grace's little face swollen. Even without a test, anyone could tell she was Landon's daughter. But my time was running out. I didn't have the strength or the days left to get tangled up with him again. Even if Landon acknowledged her, would he love her? Would he treat her kindly? Would he ever accept a daughter born from a dirty Omega like me? I just wanted to make sure that before I die, Grace would have somewhere safe to go. I hated her, but I still wanted her to live well. 5. So I shook my head. No need. Her alpha father's been dead for years. She's not related to you. Landon looked like he wanted to argue, but before he could, someone elegant walked up behind him. An Omega, refined and polished. Nathan. Landon, what's going on? He asked softly. Nothing, Landon replied. Give me half an hour. I'll be right back. Nathan. Yeah, I hated him too. If he hadn't lied to me back then, I wouldn't have been sentenced to death. It was only during the mandatory health check before execution that they discovered I was pregnant. That's the only reason my sentence got changed to life imprisonment. To my surprise, Nathan recognized me immediately. His expression froze, eyes turning cold. Then he stepped in front of Landon, blocking his view of me, like he was shielding him from something filthy. When Nathan saw Grace, a flash of fury crossed his eyes. He didn't speak, but his stare said it all. Why are you still alive? I didn't want to deal with him. Nathan was too manipulative. So I turned around, grabbed Grace's hand, and started walking away. Stop, Landon ordered, his voice sharp. I said we're going to the hospital. Nathan instantly grabbed his arm. Landon, the engagement ceremony is about to start. Landon's tone was cool, even mocking. What? You already used that little secret of yours to blackmail me into this engagement. Don't tell me you're scared I'll run off now. Nathan bit his lip, clearly furious but powerless. He'd been the one reaching too high all along. If you stay, Nathan said quietly, I'll tell you the truth. Landon, when you lost your memory back then, I was the only one who knew where he went. Lost his memory? Well, wasn't that something? All these years I'd been rotting in prison, and Landon's life had apparently been quite eventful. At the mention of that man, Landon froze mid-step. His jaw tightened. He's still alive? 6. A shadow of resentment flickered in Nathan's eyes. He clenched his teeth and nodded. Yes. Landon, for once, looked shaken. He grabbed Nathan by the shoulders. That's impossible. You're lying. He was sentenced to death by the military court. How could he still be alive? Stay, and I'll tell you. Landon's gaze flicked between me and Nathan, uncertain. Their conversation was fragmented, coded. None of it mattered to me. The pain in my gut was getting worse. It felt like the sound around me was fading into static. My hearing swallowed by the ringing in my ears. I couldn't even make out Grace calling for me anymore. In the end, Landon gave in. Fine. I'll stay. He then turned to his adjutant and gave a quick order. The man strode straight toward me. I pulled Grace behind me. I refused the test. She's my daughter. Landon's eyes flicked once, cold. His adjutant didn't hesitate. He just escorted Grace and me into the vehicle. Landon said quietly, people like you don't get to refuse. His convoy was tight, 5 cars in total. Even if I had wings, I couldn't escape. The stabbing pain in my stomach got worse. I slumped against the leather seat, exhausted. I was so tired. The truth was, I didn't love her that much, but all I ever wanted was for her to grow up safely. I closed my eyes. A single tear slid down my face as I let out a weary sigh. The test results came out quickly. Grace's face alone should have been proof enough. Even the doctor's assistant gave the adjutant a look that screamed, "Why did you even bother testing?" The adjutant took the report, handed it straight to Landon, and motioned for the guards to surround me. His expression was tight, conflicted. Who are you, really? 7. Everything went dark before my eyes. The words barely left my mouth before my body gave out, collapsing hard to the floor. The last thing I heard before blacking out was Grace's terrified scream. Daddy! Wait, that wasn't right. She usually called me Dad. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying in a luxurious private hospital room, and 4 drip in my arm. Grace, I muttered weakly. She's having dinner with Landon. That voice, smooth, mocking. Nasty fall, Lincoln. I've seen people faint from fear, but starving? That's new. I jolted upright, heart pounding. Nathan. My fists clenched instantly. Once, I was the youngest and most decorated lieutenant in Federation history. 1 bar, 2-star rank, top of my class. An achievement rare even among alphas. And Nathan had destroyed all of it. From the way he looked at me, I knew he remembered. I gave a cold smile. Major. Surprised to see me. Nathan's expression twisted, his brow furrowed tight. Seeing me smirk like that clearly enraged him. He lunged forward and grabbed my throat. Because of you, Landon called off the engagement. Years of planning, ruined. Twice. Both times because of you. Twice. I rasped, my voice barely audible. Nathan's face contorted with fury. I admit it, I set you up. But it was for his future. And what about mine? The words came out broken, uneven, like someone on the edge of dying. Nathan released me, then calmly took a disinfectant wipe and cleaned his hands, every motion deliberate. Why are you back, Lincoln? I didn't answer. My stomach was twisting in unbearable pain. You really want to know? Give me a cigarette. Nathan frowned but tossed me the whole pack. Luxury rooms really do have perks, huh? I joked weakly, lighting up. The nicotine hit fast, dulling the pain just enough for me to speak. I know you did it for his career, I said quietly. That's why I never recanted. You were on death row. Even with a commuted life sentence, there's no way you'd ever be released. I gave a bitter laugh, taking another deep drag. At this point, I'm dying anyway. Nathan's lips curled into a cruel grin. Oh, so the great Lincoln's finally running out of time. I thought you'd stick around just to spite me. He leaned closer, whispering with poisonous amusement. Since you're about to die, I'll let you in on a secret. You went to prison not because of Landon, because of me. You hated the wrong man. My hands went cold. Back then, when you cursed Landon for not saving you, it was because I erased his memories. Nathan laughed, sharp, vicious. You hated him, hated me, and even hated your own daughter. You'll die, and she'll never have felt a father's love. Pathetic. My vision blurred. I couldn't breathe. Nathan was laughing so hard he nearly doubled over. I even heard you tried to abort her. Several times. Couldn't even do that right, could you? She knows you never loved her. Look at you, Lincoln. What's the point of living when your whole life's been this pathetic? Shut up, my voice shook. You're lying. You're lying. Nathan grabbed a handful of my hair and slammed my head against the wall. Lying? You think I have time to lie to a dead man? That inhibitor Landon used, it was me who switched it out. His voice cracked, filled with resentment. If not for you, Landon and I would have been engaged 11 years ago. You're the one who ruined everything. You stole 11 years of his life. I covered my face, sobbing uncontrollably. My skull felt like it was splitting apart. Maybe heaven really did enjoy watching me suffer. Then, the hospital door creaked open, and standing there, eyes dark as storm clouds, was Landon. He stared at the two of us, Nathan's hand still gripping my hair, my trembling body against the wall. His voice came out low and dangerous. 11 years ago, what really happened? 11 years ago, Landon was the Federation's undefeated commander, and I, because of my performance, had been chosen to join his special task unit. Unit was just the official term. In truth, I wasn't directly under his command, but for every soldier in the Federation, Landon was a living legend. So was I, in my own way, one of his many admirers. I respected him, studied him, even obsessed over him. I analyzed every one of his battles again and again. His strategies, his precision, his calm. Then came the Dia Annihilation campaign. Landon's entire communication line went dark. No one knew if he was alive or dead. When the main forces pulled out, I disobeyed orders and stayed behind. I searched the smoke-filled battlefield alone, step by step, through the rubble and gunfire. And then, I caught the faint trace of an alpha's scent. Cool, crisp peppermint. Following that scent, I found him. Landon. He was badly wounded, gun in hand, eyes sharp and alert. When he saw it was me, his whole body relaxed in relief. Lincoln. He said my name. I froze, my chest tightening. You remember me, sir? He gave a faint smile. Of course I do. I couldn't believe it. He knew who I was. General, I brought medical supplies. Please, let me treat your wounds. The radio waves were jammed. No backup. No help was coming. It was just us. I injected him with a painkiller. His eyes softened slightly. Surprised I remember you. I'm just a nobody, I stammered. He chuckled. Hardly. Lincoln, top graduate of the Defense Academy, best sniper in the Argonne campaign, 2 commendations for bravery. My face went red, burning hot. Hearing a man like him list my achievements like that, it felt unreal. My heart was beating too fast. Then he said quietly, help me with an inhibitor shot. My heat's come early. Right away, sir. I reached into his pack, found the vial, and injected it into his arm. But in the next second, instead of calming, his pheromones spiked. The air filled with a heady rush of cold peppermint. Sharp, intoxicating, and utterly dangerous. 9. Landon's face changed instantly. By the time he tried to pull away, it was already too late. The overpowering scent of his alpha pheromone surrounded me completely. His voice came out low and rough. Lincoln, I'm willing. You should leave. We spoke at the same time. I froze, embarrassed beyond words. What was I even thinking? I started to get up, but Landon suddenly grabbed my wrist and pulled me hard into his arms. You're willing. I didn't hesitate. I nodded. Back then, I didn't realize that my decisiveness probably looked like a well-planned trap. That night, I was marked by Landon. He called me brave, said I was smart. Every time he praised me, my face burned red. He guided me gently, voice calm and soothing. Relax, you can handle this. After that, when my body finally cooled down, I helped Landon move to a safer spot. Our radio signal was restored, and I immediately called for help. But when the rescue arrived, instead of praise, I was greeted with cold metal cuffs. They accused me of seducing my superior officer. I denied it. Landon knew me, he remembered me. He was willing. We were both willing. But at the military trial, the presiding judge asked, "Do you have any proof?" Proof? How do you prove love? Love doesn't leave evidence. During recess, Nathan came to see me. He said Landon couldn't attend the hearing in person, he would represent him as his attorney. He told me quietly, "Lieutenant, I believe you. But if the court finds out Landon lost control of his pheromones, do you know what will happen? He'll be imprisoned for 3 years. The Federation will lose its best commander. Hundreds of soldiers could die. Just admit that you seduced him. I'll make sure you survive this. It's not even a serious crime." I stayed silent for a long time before whispering, "I want to see Landon." "Sorry, the general isn't available," Nathan said with a harmless smile. And I believed him. At the next hearing, I confessed. It was all my doing, I had seduced Landon. But the man who promised to save me betrayed me. Nathan produced a syringe and said, "This was found on the battlefield. The injection you gave Landon wasn't a suppressant, it was a stimulant." I froze, unable to speak. On the battlefield, a soldier seducing his commander, triggering pheromone exposure, that was nearly treason. I was sentenced to death, immediate execution. Still, I waited for Landon to appear, to defend me. But when Nathan finally allowed me a video call, Landon stared blankly at me, he didn't even remember who I was. That hurt more than dying. They transferred me to prison. During a routine exam, they found I was pregnant. My sentence changed from death to life imprisonment. Of course, Nathan never knew. As far as he was concerned, I was already dead, my name erased, my identity replaced with a number, 10. But Nathan was wrong. I didn't try to end the pregnancy because I hated the child. I just couldn't let her be born into my nightmare. I didn't want her to grow up behind bars, carrying my shame. She deserved better, a free life. People thought I was cruel, that I must have hated her. But a parent's love isn't always about keeping a child close, it's about protecting them, even from yourself. Later, I grew weaker. I skipped meals to feed her, until my body started to fail. Doctors warned me my condition was worsening. That's when I made my decision. "Grace," I told her once, "I don't love you." I said it to make it easier when I was gone, so she wouldn't miss me. When she grew up, she wouldn't have to feel ashamed of a father who once wore chains. When I finally collapsed completely, I took Grace's tiny hand and walked out of the prison gates. Part of me was dying, and part of me was finally free. 11. I didn't know how much Landon had overheard outside the hospital room, but I decided to take a gamble. I glanced casually at Nathan. "I told you, I'll say what you want, but you'll treat Grace well, won't you?" "Of course. She's my daughter," Landon said firmly. Nathan gave a small, satisfied nod. Only then did I speak clearly. "I seduced General Landon. I switched his suppressant and tried to carry his child to secure my place, but I failed. The military court gave me the punishment I deserved." Landon narrowed his eyes. "You said you wanted my child, but how did you make me lose my memory?" "Side effects. Bad luck," I said with a shrug, trying to act careless. Landon rubbed his temples, looking like he was in pain. He couldn't remember anything from that time, but all the evidence pointed at me. Still, something in him resisted the story. He murmured, almost to himself, Why don't I believe it? I don't remember you, but I know you're not that kind of person." I gave a mocking smile. "People do anything for power and comfort. I just wanted to marry into money, that's all." Landon's expression darkened. He stared at me, eyes cold and deep as a stormy sea. "Then as you wish," he said. I'll marry you. After all, someone like you doesn't get to refuse. 12. What? Nathan reacted even faster than I did. He stared at Landon in disbelief, as if he couldn't comprehend what he'd just heard. The proud, untouchable General Landon was willing to marry a prisoner, a man the world thought was already dead. He wouldn't even spare Nathan a glance. For years, Nathan had tried so hard, shaping himself into the perfect Omega, the kind any alpha would want. And yet, in the end, he still lost to me, a supposed manipulator, a man branded as a seducer and a traitor. Nathan's face twisted, his voice cracked. Landon, you can't do this. Where does that leave me? What am I to you? Then, to my surprise, he actually started to cry. His tears fell gracefully, like he'd practiced it in a mirror, heartbreak, but elegant. I don't want this, I said flatly. Landon turned to me. Why? Because I hate you, I said, meeting his gaze. When love turns hopeless, it becomes hate. Landon slowly took off his leather gloves, his fingertips brushing my cheek, a touch both tender and dangerous. You don't have the right to refuse, he murmured. Dad! The tension broke as Grace burst in through the door, all wide eyes and innocent timing. Landon's expression melted instantly, he scooped her up into his arms. Come here, sweetheart, let Daddy hold you. Yay! Grace giggled happily, wrapping her arms around his neck. I watched them play, my chest tightening. She'd never had that kind of affection from me, and I couldn't give it to her, not the way he could. I sighed softly. Well, seems like once you've got a rich dad, you forget the poor one. I called out, Grace. She looked up, smiling. I pointed at Nathan. Call him Daddy. Grace blinked, confused. But, people can't have 3 dads. That's weird. Landon's face darkened. Lincoln, what are you doing? Have you really come to hate me so much you'd even throw away your own daughter? I ignored him. I crouched to Grace's level. Listen, kiddo. I'm not your dad anymore. You have 2 dads now. Him, I pointed at Landon, and him, I nodded to Nathan. Landon grabbed the back of my neck, forcing me to look at him. Lincoln, hate me all you want, but you're not leaving me. I met his stare calmly, my heart already far away, like still water after a storm. Grace's lip trembled. Dad, I'm sorry, she whispered, jumping out of Landon's arms and running to me. She pressed her small hands to my face. I didn't mean to run away. I smiled faintly. I'm not mad. I'm just tired. Because the truth was, I was dying, and she needed to grow up fast. Forget the father who wouldn't be there to love her. Dad, are you crying? She asked, wiping my cheeks with her tiny hands. You're such a scaredy cat, she teased softly. You're afraid if I like Landon, I won't want you anymore, huh? She kept talking, her childish voice trembling but brave. It's not that I wanted to find Landon. It's you. You said you missed him. I didn't, I murmured. You did. In your sleep. You were holding me and crying. I think, you need him more than I do. I must have been snoring. You heard wrong. Grace's little fingers clutched my sleeve. I just want you, Dad. I'll stay with you. I don't care about Landon. 13. Nathan, Landon said coldly, are you really planning to keep interrupting a family moment? Nathan's expression darkened, but before he could leave, I stopped him. I'm the one who should go. I pulled out the 4 in my hand and sat up. Landon didn't stop me at first, he just watched. I could tell by his eyes that, no matter what I was, he'd already decided Grace was innocent. That was enough for me. If I died, he'd protect her. Nathan wouldn't dare touch her. But when I tried to step down, Landon caught my wrist and pulled me into his arms again. Lincoln, he said quietly, I know you don't hate me. Did someone threaten you? Nathan showing up here isn't normal. Nathan froze. His face went pale. His eyes begged me not to say a word. I was exhausted, too tired for revenge, too weak to drag anyone else to hell with me. If I pushed Nathan now, Grace would be the one to pay for it. So I laughed. You're right. Nathan paid me off. 1,000,000 credits to disappear. I took the money, so I did the job. I'll give you triple, Landon said. Marry me instead. Are you insane? I snapped. I'm a prisoner, a disgrace, a man who slept his way to the top. I don't love you. I just wanted an easy life. I don't care. Landon took my hand and pressed it against his chest. I don't care what they say. My heart knew you before my memory did. 14. Landon still took me back to his villa. Grace had a room full of new clothes, soft fabrics, pastel colors. She looked radiant. Me? I was so thin I couldn't fill out anything I wore. The milk that once cost me a day's worth of prison points now came in endless flavors. Cocoa, coconut, red date, plain. Grace drank until she was round-cheeked and happy. When she first arrived, the staff even praised me. You've taken such good care of her, they said. I didn't dare tell them she'd grown up behind bars. Most days, Grace stayed home with private tutors. Landon, meanwhile, found every excuse to hover around me. "Why are you still so thin?" he muttered one afternoon, brushing my shoulder. I didn't answer. He bent close, voice low against my neck. "Tomorrow, you're going to the hospital. You look pale. Even if you were just tired before, you should have recovered by now." I stiffened and grabbed his hand. "I'm not going. I told you before," he said softly, dangerously. "You don't get to refuse." His hand slid beneath my shirt, fingertips tracing heat into my skin. After years of forced calm and control, my body betrayed me instantly. Landon smirked. "You say you hate me, but your body doesn't agree." "Hey," I shot back, breathless, "it's free. Why waste it?" Landon laughed quietly. "Free things aren't always good, you know. I've never done this before. Don't expect much." Minutes later, his breath was ragged, eyes darker than ever. "You're impossible," I muttered, still dizzy. He wiped the corner of his mouth, voice low. "I don't know what's happening to me. Ever since I met you, something inside me keeps screaming to claim you, to devour you." "Lincoln, what are you?" I didn't answer. I just nudged him lightly with my knee, desperate to change the subject. "If it's free, shouldn't there be a round two?" His eyes brightened, then dimmed again. "No, you're too weak. Or maybe you're the one who's weak," I teased. "Trying to provoke me?" he murmured, squinting. "You're afraid of hospitals. What are you hiding?" God, he was too sharp. "Stop overthinking," I said quickly. Look, I'm already fired up. You started it, now finish it." Landon caught my chin between his fingers. "Who's changing the subject now?" And then he scooped me up effortlessly, carrying me toward the bathroom. "Fine. I'll clean you up. Then we're going to the hospital." "I'm not going." "Then tell me the truth. What are you hiding from me, and from Nathan?" His words were harsh, but his touch remained careful, almost gentle. I couldn't say it. Years ago, he'd looked for me, but the records said I'd been executed. He thought I was dead. He only had Nathan's version of the story. But deep down, he never believed it. His instincts told him I wasn't what they said I was. When he finally found me alive, everything broke apart. If I told him the truth now, and then died a few weeks later, what would that do to him? Would he ever forgive himself? 15. Suddenly, my whole body started to burn. The back of my neck was on fire. Great, just great. Thanks to Landon's little stimulation, my heat came early. The pheromones began to spill out uncontrollably. "Inhibitor," I gasped, looking toward Landon. But he just stood there, stunned. His pupils trembled as he whispered, "Your pheromones. Who are you?" Then he clutched his head and dropped to his knees in pain. I have to remember. Landon, don't." I scrambled out of the bathtub, dripping wet. "Stop trying to remember, okay? I'm right here. I'm Lincoln. You don't need to." He pounded his fists against his forehead, shouting in anguish. "No one told me anything. No one ever told me what I did wrong. Why won't anyone tell me?" "You didn't do anything wrong, Landon." I reached for his hands, but he was too strong, too lost. I wrapped my arms around him as he collapsed, pressing my face against the warm curve of his neck. I couldn't hold it back anymore. I started to cry, my shoulders trembling. Then I felt his arms close around me, tight, so tight I could barely breathe, like he wanted to crush me into himself. Until our bones, our blood, everything became one. And then, through his shaky breath, he whispered my name. "Lincoln." I froze. My eyes met his. He remembered. 16. Everything came together in that moment. Every secret, every lie. It all fell apart. I couldn't hide anymore. I held Landon close, afraid to meet his eyes. "I don't hate you," I said softly. "I'm just dying." Landon's breath hitched. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I tried to smile. "Our daughter, she looks like you, but she talks like me. You'll always see me in her, even when I'm gone." "Don't say that." His voice broke. "I'd rather you hate me forever." He wrapped me in a towel and injected the inhibitor with trembling hands. "Hospital," he muttered, his voice hoarse. "We'll fix this. There's always a way." He kept saying it, like a mantra, but his legs were shaking, and I had to steady him. "Don't tell her yet," I whispered. He nodded. We ran every test imaginable. When the results came back, nothing had changed. Stage 4 stomach cancer. No miracle this time. 17. Landon stood still, lips pressed together, like a leaf about to fall. But he refused to give up. He used his authority to summon the best medical experts in the Federation. 3 days later, one of them came with a report. "A good news, bad news situation," he said. "The good news is, we've developed a new experimental drug. The bad news, it's only been tested on mice. Cure rate, 5%. For humans, less than 0.5%. He asked me if I was willing to take the risk. Landon interrupted, desperate. There must be another way. I'll pay whatever it costs. The doctor shook his head. I took the document from his hand, signed the waiver marked "Proceed at your own risk." No hesitation. Just like that day when I let Landon mark me. Clean, decisive. Whatever happens, at least I'll have tried. I was admitted. Pills, tests, more pills, more tests. Every week, Landon came to see me. That's how I learned Nathan's fate. Landon had reopened the old case, exposing everything Nathan had done. It was Nathan who tampered with Landon's inhibitors, who triggered his unstable heats, and who drugged him into memory loss afterward. Crimes punishable by death. All those powerful families who helped him, Landon sent every last one to prison. That's why Nathan once said I'd ruined him twice. The first time, on the battlefield, when he tried to seduce Landon while his pheromones went wild. But I found Landon first. Nathan's execution was broadcast live across the stars. Once a noble, glamorous man, he died disgraced, under the eyes of millions. My name was cleared. The court restored my rank and gave me a massive compensation payout. Still, Landon said it wasn't enough. He visited me through the isolation glass, unable to touch. "Grace misses you," he said softly. I smiled, blinking away tears. When she was little, she always asked what her dad looked like. I told her, take my face, subtract it from hers, and what's left is her dad. He smiled faintly, but before he could reply, the guards announced visiting hours were over. 18. Half a year later, my health stabilized. The doctors said the chance of relapse was minimal. I looked at the two figures waiting at the hospital door, Landon and Grace, hand in hand. For the first time in forever, I felt lucky. Grace had caught up to her peers in just 6 months. She was bright, talkative, full of energy. She told me how Landon sometimes hugged her at night and cried quietly, and how she'd made a bunch of new friends. Landon just listened every day, pretending to be annoyed, but never missed a word. That afternoon, he came over, draped a thick coat around me, and said, "Wife, once you've recovered a bit more, let's have the wedding." I nodded. Grace was his entire world now, and honestly, it was kind of terrifying. I looked up at the clear blue sky. It reminded me of the day I first met Landon, fresh out of the academy, full of dreams. He'd walked up to me then and said, "Bella, right?" So many years of chaos later, I decided, I'd rather freeze that memory right there, that first meeting, that first smile. Landon grinned suddenly, eyes bright. Grace won a prize for her school essay. Oh, what did she write? My general father. Of course she did. I laughed and asked, what about me? Grace huffed. I did write about you. You were first. Then why didn't that one win? I don't know. Mine was called My Lieutenant Father. Right. In the Federation's elite capital academy, there were probably 3 lieutenants per classroom. No wonder. 19. 3 months later, thanks to Landon's obsessive care, I'd completely filled out. When I sat down, I could feel the soft roll at my waist. You still look too thin, he said seriously. I lifted my shirt. Look at this. What do you mean thin? Bring back my abs. Landon's eyes darkened, amused. He took my hand and pressed it to his stomach. My abs are yours. Then he leaned in, teasingly nipping at my neck. His touch was hot, deliberate, setting little fires along my skin. He murmured, "Is this okay?" Okay. I was already trembling. Was he blind? I nodded before I could even think. Then his pheromones surged, warm, powerful, unmistakable. This time, he marked me again, fully and completely. This time, he whispered, "You're staying with me for an entire heat cycle." I mumbled something that sounded like a yes. What no one told me was, an alpha's full heat lasts an entire week. A week. Heaven help me.